Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen, and I'm here for the pre-show of tonight's The Pulpwood Queen Film Club with a wonderful new actor, singer, songwriter. I mean, this guy does it all, and it's such an interesting story. I love to tell the story behind the story, and Advait, Ghuge is his name. He lives in Dallas, and he has a role in a new series that's just really taken off, and it's right before the Christmas season, so I think everybody's wanting to tune in. It's called The Chosen, and it's the story of Jesus, and he portrays in this series, which the first season is ready to go, he portrays Joshua. And I posted the link today on the Pulpwood Queen Film Club and on my page, but you can download this on your phone. The Chosen has an app, and you can watch the whole first season. They're also going to be having DVDs available, and we'll talk about that a little later. But I want to begin with welcoming Advait Ghuge to the Pulpwood Queen Film Club's pre-show. Thank you for joining me. And I also want you all just to tell everybody, how in the world did we come into each other's view? It's just a remarkable story. So I'll jump in if I have to, but I'm gonna let you share your story, Advait. So go ahead and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, hi everybody. Thank you, Kathy, for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Um, it's hard to follow up an introduction like that, but um,
Oh,
so Kathy and I actually met through my mother. Um, the two of them had been spending quite a lot of time together. My mother was teaching art at the University of Texas, and Kathy was actually a student in her class for a while. Um, After which they developed a bit of a friendship, and um, in the process, somehow, maybe because mom liked to talk about their kids, I popped up in the conversation, and Kathy reached out, and my mother was eager to have us link up, given Kathy's extensive history and accolades in writing. Um, so we got to talking. She reached out. We got to talking. She was interested in some of the things I was writing and had been writing at the time and over the years prior that had been sitting in the back burner. And she said, "Nope, send them. I want to hear it. I want to see it." We talked. We talked for a couple of hours, um, and yeah, it was just a shared passion for storytelling, really, above all things, I think.
I tell you, when I first talked to his mom, and she just joined us, by the way, Vate, she's just joined us, but his mom taught me, I took 2 classes from her at the University of Texas, and she was very instrumental and very inspiring to me, especially when I was working on my senior exhibition. And so when I got the job, I was offered, nobody else gets a job during COVID, but I did. I got offered the director of acquisitions for Lucid House Publishing. And she said, "Do you know of anybody's books that you would like to publish?" And the first thing that had come to mind was I had, during the time of COVID, I had kind of fell down the rabbit hole of watching these Indian films, and partially because his mother fascinated me when I was in school, because she was just such a strong, fierce woman. I'm sorry, I'm talking about you while you're on here, but I knew you had a story, so I reached out to her and found out that she did have a story that she's working on now. So as I'm talking to her about her writing her story, because she was born and raised in India, she brought into the conversation the story of Advait and how he's working on writing a series, a fiction series that totally different. But I read his work. I'm telling you, this family is so talented. I think that what is wonderful about this world is that we can now share stories of people that were maybe marginalized before, maybe were not given the importance of other people. And I just feel like I want to be one of the books that I picked to be more global and more diverse. And so I am really excited to be working with both of them on these writing projects. But Advait, he wants me to call him Fate. He has so many other talents. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. You can see I think that's a guitar behind you. And I've listened to some of his music. I love music. I love all the arts. I love theater. I love songwriting. And I have so many friends that are in both of those professions. But I think it's important that we showcase somebody like you, Vay. So tell us how The Chosen came about and how you got this role, because it's really probably one of the most powerful films. When I was a kid, we watched the 10 Commandments, and I remember as a kid, I thought this was the Bible comes alive. And then as I grew up, I realized how Hollywood that version was, with Charlton Heston. But this series that you're doing now, this is really good, and the acting is incredible. I shared today, everybody, the link to watch the episode that Vait is featured in, which is in season 1, episode 7. So let's hear about your story about how you landed the role in The Chosen.
Sure. So first things first, The Chosen itself as a TV show is a crowd-funded program, and it pretty much smashed all previous records for raising funds for its pilot. And they were really interested in exploring the lives and stories of the people who were around Christ, more so than actually focusing on Christ himself, which was a different take to the story than we'd really seen before. And it really allowed for a long form, an episodic, to explore all of those different characters, how they're impacted, the struggles they went through, and the way life would have been at the time. As they were going through the seasons, I'd received auditions for them a few times through my agent. I've been working as an actor now for roughly 5 years, and I'd received auditions for this show before, and the other roles just hadn't stuck until we came to this one role, and a lot of this was time and preparation meeting opportunity. In my case, I've been studying now for multiple years, 5-6 years, studying acting and working, and this role came along. And what they wanted to do with this role, specifically, it's Joshua from the story of Moses. They'd wanted to depict this struggle, this crisis of faith that people called into extreme situations oftentimes undergo. And they sent me an audition, sent in my tape at the time, went in person for callbacks, drove down to Austin for that, which from Dallas is, if you don't know, it's about a 3.5-hour drive, which if you work in the Dallas area or in the Austin area as an actor is a very common drive to make. Sometimes you'll be making that trip multiple times a week there and back for a 10-15 minute audition, and then you're on your way back. And it just becomes one of these things you just become accustomed to. But in this case, they liked what they saw. They brought me back for another round, and next thing I know, they said, "Yeah, we want you to play this role." And they luckily they were filming not too far from here. They were filming in, what was the name of the place? They had their own site that was like a miniature Capernaum. They built
Wow.
Yeah, they built an entire set that you could get lost in and forget what time period you actually lived in. And it was
in the Dallas area?
right outside. It was about an hour east of here. Yeah. And so you arrive on set and you're in this terrain, and because it's west of Dallas, not east, it's west of Dallas, it's mostly scrubland and hills. So it looks very much a fitting site for something happening in modern day Israel, or in the lands around it. And they had erected this beautiful, beautiful set. And that's where we shot.
And how many days were you involved in the shooting that you did?
We managed to wrap the entire segment that I'm in one day.
Oh, you did that in one day?
Mm-hmm.
He is good, y'all. Because wait till you see your accent. Oh my gosh, you did that in one day.
Yeah, so so obviously the accent, we wanted it to be specific to the time, but there was a bit of leeway because of the backgrounds of the characters being so diverse. You talk about Joshua, you're talking about somebody who has experienced a time in history where Israel is a very separated group of people. Most of them are living as slaves in Egypt, and the rest are kind of nomadic in the area. So there's a bit of variety, and they brought in an accent coach for me to work with. We worked over the phone. She was very pleased. We got it handled, and next thing you know, we're on set.
It's incredible. So when we get through tonight, you guys go to the Pulpwood Queen Film Club page, the Pulpwood Film Club page, and there's the link where you can watch it. And it starts out with the director, who is also an actor director, who says it's the best episode of season 1, and your episode is season 7. There's 8 in it, and so you can watch it, and then I hope you'll go and watch the whole thing. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to binge watch tonight. I'm going to stay up late on Saturday night, and I'm going to watch all of them. So now this is not the only thing that you've done. You've modeled, you've been in commercials, you've been doing lots of things. What is an average, day, or tell us about some of the things that you've done.
Yeah, so in terms of some of the previous work I've been blessed to do, it's been a lot of, I've done modeling, commercial, fashion, runway, New Orleans Fashion Week. I've been published a couple times for modeling. And then with acting, it's been everything from commercials, which are really your bread and butter as an actor. When you're at the beginning of your career, if you're making any income from acting, it's mostly through that. Which is great because it allows you to keep working on your skills and doing what you love without having to, rely on a different kind of means of making money. So there's been commercials with Verizon, with Choctaw Casinos, with
State Farm. I called you that one day and you were doing a...
That's actually the newest big one. So if you guys watch the new State Farm commercials, there's with the new Jake, there's a commercial where he's getting ready for the Met Gala. I'm the designer, and we have a nice 30-second skit that we go through. It's lots of fun to do.
You're very legitimate commercials, because I watched one with Ellen DeGeneres. I'm telling you, some of the people, when they started out, they had to do some things that were just, not as exciting as ideal as the commercials you're doing. Verizon, State Farm, hey, those are pretty good, and Fashion Week. But some of these people were doing some pretty crazy stuff. So everything from toilet cleaners to, not that great.
The thing is, though, and this is kind of one of the wonders of acting, is that whatever the experiences you've had, they all inevitably end up being fuel and being stuff you can use. So whether it's your personal life and things you're experiencing there, or jobs you've had that are just way off, in the extreme ends of things, all of these become incredible sources of inspiration at some point.
I know that you're doing this, but you had to, now was your background, you went to Duke University, correct?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
what was your major again?
Biology. Yeah.
Oh, well, we all started out with something.
Over there.
Yeah.
My degree were over there under a pile of, I don't know, and I wave at it every day as I walk outside. Just
You know, my daughter started out as a biology major too, because she was thinking she was going to be a doctor. And I was
Mhm.
telling him prior to us going on the air that she has her degree in history and mostly in her thing was archaeology. So she's
Yeah,
spent summer on a dig. So, you know, and now in life, what she's doing, she's been studying to be a commercial pilot. You know, the world is wide open, but the wonderful thing that I share with all young people, and you're young to me because you're my kid's age, but is that you go after your passions. Because if you're really passionate about something, you'll never work harder, but it won't be work. I mean, it's what you enjoy. And I will, you know, everybody thought I was crazy going back to school, becoming an artist at 59. But let me tell you, I'm making a living off of it, and people can't. It's a meager middle living, but and I have a lot of other things I'm doing. But I've never been happier doing what I do. So, is this truly the thing that makes you the most happiest in your life? Is the
yeah.
acting, or is it the singing and songwriting?
See, that's a difficult one. So singing and music was my first love, but I approached it at a time when I wasn't ready to go down that road. Um, Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I wasn't at a place where that was something that was I was willing to take. But when I found acting, um, there was this kind of this buzz of passion which I hadn't really ever felt before. It's that light bulb moment. It's that thing that redefines your experience. Um, and yeah, so I would never trade off music, so to speak, but acting is definitely my highest passion.
Great. And that's, you know, it's good that you figured it out at such a young age. It took me, you know, 43 years to finally get through college, 7 universities to figure it out. But I have a lot of interest, and so do you. It doesn't mean you have to do one thing. In fact,
No,
most of the people that are the visionaries and that become the biggest stars, they do everything. I think of Meryl Streep. I mean, my gosh, she sings, she dances, she, you know, she does it all, and she does accents like you. I mean, that is a gift, being able to do different voices. You know, I have such a mixture of Kansas. I lived in California and now Texas. Nobody thinks I sound anything like where I'm from. And so, you know, I pick up y'all, and, you know, in Kansas, we really drag out things. It's very different. But when I go back home, I pick it right back up. And so you grew up in a very different lifestyle. So you were raised pretty much in the United States. You were born here. And,
no,
but yet your parents, go ahead.
oh, sorry, no, I was actually born in India.
Oh, you were born in
Yeah,
India.
yeah.
So you came here as a baby, or how old?
I was 2.5 at the time.
Yeah, well, 2.5. And you moved to Detroit, correct?
In Detroit, yeah.
What a difference. And then you ended up in Henderson, Texas, which, for those of you who don't know what Henderson is, a very small East Texas town. Let me tell you, very small.
We moved from this massive city to a county road with
Did it make you
as
feel
our nearest person. Is that I hear a puppy.
I do too.
Is
But
that Constantine?
it's constant. So you moved to this county road, and I love what you told me when I was first talking to you, that, you know, there were cows.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was that was the limit of my social exposure at the time was cattle. It was remarkable, if anything.
Well, I grew up in a small rural town in Kansas,
Mhm.
and that's pretty much, rolling hills and cattle and lots of oil derricks too, because it was an oil and cattle town. So, and I spent a lot of time on my grandparents' farm, but I never lived in a city till I moved to San Diego. So it was culture shock for me when I was in my 20s. So I can't even imagine what it was like when you moved to Henderson from Detroit. And did you keep in contact with all your friends there still, or have?
In Henderson? No, actually, that was a period of time where I didn't really make a lot of connections with my peers. So I didn't really keep contact after we left.
So, and so you lived in Henderson, then you eventually moved to Tyler, right? Or had you already left for college when that happened?
No, we moved to Tyler, which was about 45 minutes away, and that's where I went through high school,
Well,
which was
Tyler's a pretty good sized town for Texas town. It's not Houston or Austin, but it's, it's growing. It's really
it was
growing.
the town I'd lived in since Henderson. So yeah,
Well, and it has colleges. So it has wonderful opportunities for studying, but you didn't want to go to college in Tyler, I'm sure. So you just
yeah,
followed.
that was one of those things. Is I had it set in my mind that I wanted to go to Harvard Med School, and to get into Harvard Med School, I was looking at where do people go before who have the best shot of getting in? And it turned out that the largest number of students who went from undergrad to going into med school at Harvard came from undergrad Duke. So,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Harvard has a great theater program too.
I hadn't even considered it. I didn't even realize that acting was a career option.
Isn't that funny? Because I never thought anybody could ever really become a working artist, but I was very fortunate because I had a neighbor who lived just down the street from me that gave my mother art lessons, and he became a pretty well-known bronze sculpture artist. His name was Jim Brothers, and he was on the he later on became one of the professors at the University of Kansas. And his bronze sculptures have been at the Vietnam Memorial. They've got several in my hometown. And I remember I was a big colorer as a kid, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And he said, "You need a drawing pad. Get rid of the coloring book." And I go, "But how do you train your hand to do, you learn by coloring to work within parameters." And I still love to color, but I paid a lot of attention to him, and I would watch him teach my mom. She was taking private lessons because she painted too. And it was fascinating. So now to have your mother as an artist, and your mother and your father are both have their medical doctor degrees, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and I know from watching all the Indian films that, the four things they want your children to do is become a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, or an architect. So
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with that because nobody, when I was given two choices, but I'm, 64, my choices were to get married, which I did not want to do. And the other one was to become a teacher or a nurse, teacher or nurse. Well, I fainted at the sight of blood, so that was not going to happen. Doctor was never even an option for me. So I went to college to become a teacher, but that isn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to see the world, and I wanted to do other things. So it took me a while to figure it out. But how long did it take you to figure out that you really wanted to do something besides biology?
Um, it took me doing very poorly in college for
Well, I can relate to that the first time because I did not want to be, in those courses. So, yeah.
yeah.
So
There
just
was there was
just
definitely
watch. Someday you're going to be playing a doctor on some kind of big movie or television series, and it'd be just hilarious to me if that would happen, because you hear about this happening all the time, of people who have these career changes and everything. So if you were to have best case scenario on what you would like to have happen, what would you like to see for your future as artist, whether film or music?
Yeah, so for me, those two go very hand in hand with like you look at creative, successful creators like Viggo Mortensen or Jamie Foxx or Jared Leto, people who have the um, the option to do
All
what
of
they
it.
truly love, which is multiple things. It's writing, it's acting, it's music, and they're able to do all of these, and that is very much the vision of my future that I resonate with. That I'm making films so that people all around the world get to fall in love with or be impacted by. That I'm making music and performing it in a way that people get to resonate, get to feel connected, and experience these things together. Writing, storytelling in ways that people of all ages get to get lost. The way I got to get lost when I read Tolkien's works or C.S. Lewis's works or the Harry Potter books when I was 11 when that first came out, and Harry Potter is 11 in it, and I was certain I was going to get my owl any um, that's the kind of vision that I'm really striving for.
That's great. Well, I know we were talking about books, and when I got my agent, she asked me, "What's your favorite book?" And I
Mhm.
said, "To Kill a Mockingbird." She goes, "That's my favorite book." And who's your favorite writer? And I go, Pat Conroy. And she goes, that's my favorite. But you told me that one of your favorite books was another one of my favorite books, The Count of Monte Cristo,
That's right.
which I'm going to tell you, we are launching a new series of classics with Lucid House, and that is going to be one of them. But we're going to update the art, and we're going to be having very interesting people doing new introductions to the REITs. So
Mhm.
I was really excited about that. And I told them, they gave me the list of the ones they wanted to do. And I said, you've got to do The Count of Monte Cristo, because I was just talking about that with Advait Ghuge, because I don't know, I'm always fascinated by the underdog, you know,
Mhm.
and people that go through, I mean, what he went through, I mean, in his life, what people go through. And those are the films that I like to watch. It's probably why the Bible is the greatest book ever read, is because, the stories are frankly unbelievable. I mean, it involves a bit of imagination and faith to understand the stories. And constantly I'm taking, courses to learn more. And I've really fell into learning more about world religions, because in order to understand different peoples and cultures, you have to understand the
Mhm.
religions, and I don't think any one person is right. I just think we all kind of figure out for ourselves what's right for us. So why
Mhm.
can't we all just share each other's stories like you're sharing
Mhm.
yours? So if you're writing this series, and we're not going to give anything away, okay, nothing away, because we want this all to be exciting and new. But what is your audience for your books? Who do you perceive are the ones that are going to be reading this?
I really see people who are young adults to adults in their 30s. This is the this is the aspect of life, the stage of life where the themes that I write about are really relevant. Um, and definitely, especially with this story in mind, uh, that's that's who I see really resonating with this story.
Well, I know that if you can get an audience for this story, it would make a great series. I mean, a fantastic series that could go on to Netflix or Amazon or all the many ones that are just popping up left and right. Uh, I can see it, visualize it in my mind, and your writing is incredibly, for the audience out there, his writing is so beautiful. You can tell this young man is very well read, and that he speaks in such a way that you're engaged page after page after page. And, you know, if you have a voice like Advait does, you know, it's very clear. And so many people spend so much time trying to find their voice. You've got it. I mean, you've already got it. I think, you know, my own grown children are going to love your book. They're going to love it. But I love it, and I'm 64, so don't cut off the older generation. You know, I really think you have got something going, and I'm only going to publish something that I truly, totally believe in. And that is I think that is my calling in life, is to help mentor to people who need to get their stories out there, first time, first book authors. I've always done that with my book club, which is, we're going into our 21st year. I always tried, and I've had great success with the books that I've picked, because so many of them have gone on to film, like The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls, and Same Kind of Different as Me by Ronnie Hall and Denver Moore, and Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I can just go on, Catherine Stockett's The Help. I can go on and on about the books that we've picked. But I am really excited for you, because I'm going to get to say someday, I knew him when his mother introduced us, and I knew there was, you know, I take probably the biggest joy in my life, not quite as big as graduating from college, but the biggest joy in my life, or having my kids, is seeing somebody become very successful. So I'm going to do everything I can to get the word out there on you, and we're going to share you with the world. And we hope for every one of your film projects that you'll come back and do the Pulpwood Queen Film Club again. And we hope that your singing and songwriting, you know, I watch all those shows, the talent shows too, from Dancing with the Stars to, you know, The Voice and American Idol. And one of my very best friends from high school was teaches college, and she teaches voice. That was her major, and she teaches voice at university. And the young man who won in the last season of American Idol was first runner-up, and she was his teacher. And I was lucky enough to have another one of her students come when we went to an event on the Queen Mary in Los Angeles, and they came and sang for an author event we did on the Queen Mary. So if I'd known then about you, I would have gotten you on that ship. But I'm going to get you to Girlfriend Weekend, because I would love to have you perform. I would love to have, because we've got so many new generations coming on board the book club. But for all of you that are going to be watching this on my Kathy L. Murphy YouTube channel, please share The Chosen, share Advait Ghuge. How do we get a hold of you if we have some questions about, maybe, because you're going to be mentoring to young people too, by being a writer and by being a singer and songwriter. I mean, the fact that you got on this series that is just, it's really taken the country by storm. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, go ahead and follow me on my Instagram page. It's Advait_official. So that's ADVAIT_official. Or you can find me on Facebook at Advait Ghuge. With my agent, if you ever needed to contact for them, then it's the Kim Dawson Agency, KIM Dawson, DAWSON. And yeah, those are ideal.
And I always get I'm terrible at acronyms, but it's IMBD has, you know, your full listing of everything that you're doing, that you've done for television and film, and we're looking to see a lot more. So when, I don't know what the future is. I know they're going to do a second season for The Chosen, but, you know, they're doing other films too, also in the Dallas area, right? See, I didn't realize there was such a film presence. I knew, you know, Dallas, the television show, has been featured. In fact, coming up, I have, just so you'll know, Lorraine Dupree, who wrote all those television series, Dynasty, Dallas. She wrote the episode of Who Shot JR. She's an author. She's from New Orleans. She's a friend of mine. She lives in Beverly Hills. And she's going to, in fact, she got me my entertainment attorney. If you ever need help, she's wonderful. She's just brilliant when it comes to writing. And she'll be coming on in 2 weeks. It's on the film club. So you'll have to watch that show, Advait, because she would be a great mentor to you. She works with a lot of young people. So is there anything else that you would like to share with everybody about philosophies of life, or what you're at home social distancing? You know, how much of your day is spent doing all these things?
Yeah, a pretty good amount of it. Between music and writing, a good portion of it. The rest of the time is, what everyone needs to be doing, which is just staying positive, finding creative outlets, finding things to tools like Zoom and FaceTime to stay in contact with loved ones and friends. And just remember that, we're kind of all in this together, and we're all going to be okay.
We all need to be working together, because I know during this time I'm very much a people person, right, and Abby. So it was really hard for me. But I had another professor in college that said, your work is about discipline, and you need to get up early every morning, and you get to work, and you work and you work. And I have done more work during probably this time of social distancing than I ever have in my life. And I'm always working multiple jobs, but I mean, I'm really working, but I'm working on things that I'm very passionate about. So whenever you're ready to share your music so we can hear your voice, we would love to hear you sing. Send me anything and I'll post it for you. Tag me on anything you want to share, any of your latest film, or, I mean, the modeling stuff you've done is pretty amazing too. And you do also voices for Audible. And I know my publisher, I don't know if you talked to Echo yet, but they were looking for somebody to do one of the guys were publishing his book from California to do the Audible for his voice. So for any producers or movie people out there, or Audible or whatever, I want you to check out his. Do you have a website, Advait? Do you have one?
I do. And like a lot of creatives, I need to update it.
Well, I updated my calendar. It was so out of date. We get so busy with the everyday stuff. That's the websites are, but I automatically, every time I do a Facebook, it posts to Twitter, and it just post. My web person's helped me do all this stuff, but I couldn't do anything without Paul Roberson, who helps me, who's also a UT graduate. He's one of my dearest friends and has been working with me for years. But so you have a dog, and it's gorgeous. I had to share the picture your mom had posted of you and that dog. Is it a husky or what is it?
He is. Just real quick, I'll go back on the website thing. It's just my name, advaitghuge.com.
advaitghuge.com. Okay, you guys, I put it up on all my pages if you have any questions about this. And I'll also put this up on the teaser. When we get off of this, it's going to download. It's going to download onto my computer, and then I'm putting it up on the YouTube channel. So we'll share it with all the world. And so introducing Advait Ghuge, thank you so much. If any last words to anybody that you want to share?
Yes. Okay, so the last thing I want to say is my puppy, Constantine, is amazing. He's a husky. He's too beautiful. He knows it, so you don't have to tell him. And yeah, thank you for having me on, and I look forward to the next time.
Well, I hope this is one of many times that we have you on there, and your mom is going to be coming up too, because I also do blogs on my website, the Pulpwood Queen blogs, and I also every week my authors that I pick host the Breathless Bubbles and Books site on Facebook. It's a Facebook group where they host for the entire week. And also we have the Pulpwood Academy online book club, which has just exploded since the COVID. We started this in January. Little did we know this was going to happen. But I see you've got both acoustic and you've got your electric guitar in the background. I'm looking forward to that day. And I just want to thank you again. You know, I'm glad this all worked out and we got it all figured out. And I just thank you so much. I expect amazing things from you and no pressure. No pressure. But so everybody, as soon as this is over, download The Chosen on your phone. There's an app under apps for The Chosen, and it's free. There's no charge, but you can pay to have 10 more people watch it. And so that's what I did. I think that's pretty much what I did. And then you can go to the link that's on the Pulpwood Queen Film Club to watch specifically the show that you're on. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to blow you away. So as soon as this is over, I'm putting on my jammies and I'm going to make me some popcorn and I'm going to binge watch The Chosen, Advait. So thank you so much. We will continue down the road. It's enjoy this time, because when I think about the happiest times in my life, it's actually been on the cusp of bigger things. So you'll look back at this time as being very special. And so keep writing and I'll keep talking to you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining the Pulpwood Queen Film Club, and get ready for the show on Advait Ghuge on Kathy L. Murphy channel on YouTube. So until next time, every Saturday night at 6:30. Next week, we have Academy Award winning nominee Candy Clark, who starred in the film American Graffiti, which we're going to be watching that film and all the way from Los Angeles. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye, Abby. I'll be in touch with you too. So bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.